The roar of helicopters, the pulse of jungle drums, and the haunting silence of a man shaped by war. Rambo, First Blood Part 2 begins where the first film left off, but it dives deeper into the heart of trauma, vengeance, and national pride. Directed by George P. Cosmatos and co-written by Sylvester Stallone and James Cameron, this sequel transforms John Rambo from a hunted veteran into an unstoppable force of redemption. It's not merely an action movie. It's a cinematic reflection of a nation struggling to reclaim dignity after the scars of Vietnam. The movie opens with a stark image: John Rambo imprisoned in a Lieber camp, his muscles hardened by months of physical punishment. Gone is the wandering drifter from First Blood. Now he is a caged animal, silently breaking rocks under a burning sun. But when Colonel Samuel Troutman, his old commander, and one of the few people who understands him, arrives with an offer, the story ignites. Troutman's proposition is simple but deadly. The US government wants Rambo for a reconnaissance mission back in Vietnam. The official objective: to photograph enemy camps and confirm whether American POWs, prisoners of war, still remain captive. No combat, no rescue, just evidence. But Rambo knows the truth. This is more than a mission. It's a chance to face the ghosts that have haunted him for years. The setup feels almost mythic. A warrior returning to the battlefield that forged and destroyed him. The camera lingers on Stallone's face as he's told he'll be going back to where it all started. He doesn't flinch. His silence speaks volumes. In that stillness lies pain, duty, and a quiet rage that defines his entire existence. A ghost returns to the jungle. The moment Rambo is released from prison, the film begins its slow burn into tension. We see him step off the military transport plane in Thailand, the lush jungle visible in the distance. The camera frames him against the horizon like a shadow from another era, one man against the memories of war. At the military operations base, Rambo meets the mission's overseer, Marshal Murdoch, a polished bureaucrat who talks like a patriot but acts like a politician. His slick demeanor immediately clashes with Rambo's raw authenticity. Murdoch promises that this mission is about bringing closure to the families of missing soldiers. But behind his words is the sense of deception. Rambo doesn't trust him, and the audience doesn't either. Before the mission, Troutman gives Rambo his gear: a custom survival knife, a compound bow, and his dog tags, the only things connecting him to his identity. If you get caught, you're on your own, Troutman warns. Rambo only nods. He's always been on his own. The night before the drop, the film takes a breath. Rambo stands in silence, sharpening his blade. The dialogue is minimal, replaced by the whir of jungle insects and the tension in Stallone's eyes. This quiet preparation scene is one of the most memorable in 1980s action cinema: the calm before the storm, the ritual before the war. The descent into hell. Rambo parachutes into the dense Vietnamese jungle, his silhouette cutting through moonlit clouds, but fate turns cruel. His parachute snags mid-descent, dragging him violently through trees. He crashes hard but survives, bruised and bloodied, crawling from the wreckage. Alone and off course, Rambo begins the mission, his instincts taking over like a primal reflex. Armed only with his knife and bow, he moves like a ghost through the foliage. The cinematography captures the claustrophobia of the jungle. Every rustle, every shadow feels alive. This isn't the war fought in cities or deserts. This is nature reclaiming humanity. Rambo's first contact in Vietnam is Co Bao, a local freedom fighter assigned to assist him. She's smart, resourceful, and hardened by her own losses. Their alliance is practical, but respectful, both survivors in a world that values neither mercy nor weakness. Through her, Rambo learns that the POWs aren't just legends. They're real men still imprisoned deep in jungle camps, forgotten by their own country. When he reaches the camp, he sees them. Frail, starved, broken, yet alive. The camera lingers on their haunted faces. He was told to take photographs, but the sight of these men, living proof of his government's betrayal, ignites something uncontrollable within him. He refuses to obey orders. Instead of taking pictures, he takes action. In one of the most iconic sequences of the film, Rambo silently eliminates guards with his bow, each arrow hitting with deadly precision. The soundtrack builds with low percussion and faint jungle sounds. No hero music, just the pulse of survival. He infiltrates the camp, cuts the prisoners free, and leads them toward the extraction point. For a brief moment, hope returns. The prisoners weep, disbelief in their eyes. Rambo looks at them, not as a soldier, but as a brother. He's finally doing what no one else would, bringing them home. But betrayal from above. As the helicopter approaches the extraction site, the tone shifts from victory to tragedy. Rambo radios in the coordinates, and Murdoch's voice responds coldly, "Abort the mission." The words hit harder than any bullet. Murdoch, realizing that the existence of live POWs would expose decades of political deception, decides to cut Rambo loose. He orders the pilots to leave him behind. As the helicopter pulls away, Rambo's fury explodes, not through words, but through his eyes. He's been betrayed again, not by the enemy, but by his own nation. The Viet Cong arrive. A brutal firefight ensues. Rambo fights ferociously, but is eventually overpowered and captured, along with the POW he tried to save. The camera focuses on his face as he's shackled, beaten, and dragged into the camp. The image of Rambo in chains, stripped, bloodied, defiant, becomes one of the most powerful symbols in 1980s cinema. The warrior as a victim of his own country's hypocrisy. The camp's commander, a sadistic Soviet officer named Podolsky, mocks Rambo's loyalty to America. "Do you still believe your government cares?" he sneers. Rambo doesn't answer. His silence is both refusal and resistance. He's tortured with electric shocks, forced to radio Murdoch under threat of death. When Murdoch demands that he confirm his position and status, Rambo glares into the transmitter and growls, "Murdoch, I'm coming for you." That single line, growled through blood and rage, becomes the rallying cry of the entire film. It's not just a promise, it's a prophecy. A soldier's resurrection. Ko Bao helps Rambo escape, freeing him from his chains. The escape sequence is a masterclass in tension. Rain pouring, guns flashing, the jungle alive with chaos. Rambo becomes a phantom of vengeance, moving through the darkness, reclaiming his weapons and turning the enemy's cruelty against them. The movie begins to accelerate into its legendary second half. The tone shifts from sorrow to fury, from survival to retaliation. The first half ends not on victory, but on transformation. John Rambo, the man who once begged his country for understanding, has stopped asking. Now he fights not for orders, not for politics, not for glory. He fights for every man left behind. As the jungle burns and thunder rolls across the sky, the final image of Part 1 is Rambo standing over the wreckage of his captors, drenched in mud and rain, bow in hand. His eyes are no longer haunted, they are focused. The mission has changed. The war never ended. And this time, Rambo is bringing it home. The jungle is alive with fury. Smoke rises through the trees. The rain has turned to steam as gunfire and explosions rip through the night. Rambo has escaped the nightmare of his imprisonment, but he is not running. He is hunting. Part 2 of Rambo First Blood Part 2 begins with a tone of vengeance, raw and unstoppable. The film's second half transforms from a tense war drama into a relentless action spectacle. Every frame now vibrates with purpose. The hunted soldier of First Blood has become the hunter. Rambo's vengeance unleashed. After his brutal escape from the POW camp, Rambo moves like a shadow. His body is battered, but his will is unbroken. The jungle is his home now, his ally, and his weapon. The soundtrack swells with Jerry Goldsmith's now iconic score, a mix of tribal drums and mournful brass that capture the warrior's rebirth. Rambo retrieves his gear, the compound bow, his knife, and whatever ammunition he can salvage. But his deadliest weapon is his rage. The same government that betrayed him has left him for dead again. Yet, Rambo does not aim to simply survive. He aims to expose them. With Kobau at his side, he plans to return to the POW camp to rescue every last prisoner. Their connection deepens as they navigate through rivers and ruins, a brief moment of humanity in a film drenched in blood and loss. Under the flickering light of a campfire, Kobau tells him, "You not expendable." Her words strike him deeply. A rare glimpse of compassion in a world that treats soldiers like tools. For a brief moment, the soldier and the freedom fighter share a fragile hope that once this mission is done, they might have a life beyond war. But Rambo's world is not kind to hope. As dawn breaks, enemy patrols discover them. Gunfire shatters the silence. Kobau is hit, a fatal shot that sends Rambo into silent shock. He holds her in his arms as she dies, whispering, "You'll live forever." Her death is the final spark that turns him from survivor to avenger. When he looks up, something in him dies, and something far more dangerous is born. The jungle becomes his weapon. What follows is one of the most thrilling and influential action sequences in cinema history. Rambo becomes the embodiment of guerrilla warfare. He blends into the jungle, turning the terrain into a trap. Every vine, every shadow becomes part of his arsenal. A group of Soviet and Viet Cong soldiers track him through the mist, but they don't stand a chance. One by one, they fall to his handcrafted traps. Arrows exploding, knives flying, silent takedowns that echo through the trees. The camera work is tight and suspenseful, a masterclass in how to blend choreography, cinematography, and tension. Each kill is not just violence, it's a statement. This is what happens when a government creates a perfect soldier, then abandons him. Rambo eventually captures a Soviet helicopter. The sequence is pure 1980s adrenaline. Rambo, bloodied and grim, lifting off through the storm, his bandana flopping, explosions illuminating the sky. He circles back to the POW camp and unleashes hell. With rockets and machine guns blazing, he demolishes guard towers, barracks, and vehicles. The prisoners, shocked and disbelieving, watch as the man who came to save one returns to save them all. When the dust settles, the camp is a burning ruin. Rambo lands the chopper and yells, "Come on, let's go home." The line isn't heroic. It's desperate. He's not fighting for medals or victory. He's fighting to end a war that never truly ended for him. The final battle. One man against the system. As Rambo flies towards the extraction point, Soviet gunships pursue him, leading to one of the most memorable aerial battles in 1980s action cinema. Helicopter blades roar, missiles streak through the sky, and Rambo maneuvers with impossible skill. The clash feels mythic. The lone warrior facing an empire,